You are now listening to Broken Line Podcast, presented by Fish Addictions TV. Eskimo ice fishing gear. 13 Fishing. Caps in Glenwood, Minnesota. Coles Resort of Bemidji, Minnesota. Aaron Eichhorst Photography.
Everybody on board? Mm-hmm. Okay. And welcome to the Broken Line. Tonight we have Mike Olson from Fish Addictions TV, Will Pappenfus from Fish Addictions TV, Aaron Eichhorst from Turtle River, and me
from
Fish Addictions TV.
Fish Addictions TV. Yeah, I think we're just one big family. We're not talking fish addictions tonight. We're talking about ice fishing, man.
Yes. And we, a little bit of deer hunting. Let's talk about fall. Let's talk about fall first. To me, it seemed like it lasted about 4 days, and then it was gone. But you said you were deer hunting.
Deer hunting, yeah. Well, what do we get? Like 8 inches of snow the first week of October, then it left us, then we got another 6 inches of snow, and then it left us, and then we deer hunted, and now we were walking on water today.
Yeah, solid 3 inches.
It was safe.
Yeah, you guys were in a foot of water.
Safe about it.
Well, yeah, of course. And that's always it's the hard part of the season. Like, I want to get out there real bad, but I've gone through twice before.
I've been through. Yeah, but it's one of those things where, like, you get ice on the lake and you look across the lake, you see no open water, and there's an itch that you have to scratch. Oh, yeah. Whether it's walking a foot out and you just dance on the ice a foot away from shore.
Oh, yeah,
and you come back, or it's spudding out like we did today quite a ways to see what the ice was. We were, 100 feet out, and there was 2.5 inches of ice still. We were spudding the whole way, doing a first ice safety video, which is, I think, one of the most important things that people can remember this time of year.
Absolutely.
It's great. When we were down there filming, I said, because we just filmed an announcement teaser video for a sponsor that we won't say yet, but and I was like, last week you were walking in the water. And then the next week after that, you're standing on the ice in the same spot.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh, man.
That's always the first thought that goes in my head. Like, I just looked out over Big Turtle. I was like, yeah, just a few weeks ago, I was in my boat. And now when I go out there ice fishing, I'll be ice fishing all winter. Then in the summertime, I'll be out there and be like, I just took my Jeep on the same path that I just had my boat. And it just always kind of
hits you hard.
Yeah, it's like, geez, we live in a great place where a guy has an opportunity to do that.
Drive their boat right where they drive their car.
Right.
But it's also a scary thing to think about. And it goes into the ice safety thing, because for the next month, I would say all of November, it's going to be a question of people having to get, first ice.
Yeah, and
they
we're
have to be there
all over social media. Guys are just...
It's like a race every year for people on social media. They got to be the first ones.
And it's Red Lake is really the spotlight that gets shined on first ice. It's a shallow, big lake. You get a night where it's still, like we actually had last night, -7. The whole thing's probably capped off at this point. Yeah. And you see social media, how's Red Lake doing? How's Red Lake doing? I would never personally take what Joe said on Ice Fishing Minnesota to heart. If you want to make the drive, I've done it, made hour, 2 hour, 3 hour drive up to check it out for yourself.
Right.
Go up there with the intentions of fishing, but being safe about it. If there's a sketchy spot, just walk back. It's not worth it. It's a fish. We all love to fish. We want to fish. We want to be out on the water. But at the end of the day, we want to go home.
Oh, absolutely. And the same thing goes for, I can't remember the name, but there's an app that's out there for iOS and Android.
Yeah, we talked about it last year. And I still can't remember what it is.
I don't think that is a very good resource at all. It's guys can update ice conditions, and they can post it to this app.
Again, you don't know unless you see it for yourself. And a lot
4 feet's a make or break too.
Right.
Because we were out there and you were standing on 3 inches, and then we drilled a hole, and Will's sitting on 1.5 inches. So you don't know.
And I didn't fall through.
Attaboy.
It was maybe 2 inches. Yeah. But we can talk ice safety, and that's a huge part of ice fishing in general. But I think we should start it off by every year about this time, maybe the last 2 weeks, we've all the ice fishing magazines come out and the papers and all that kind of stuff, and there's got to be one thing that gets a guy excited every single year for ice fishing. What's yours?
Ooh.
I know you've read them all.
Yeah, I have.
Twice, 3 times.
Well, I only read once, but I look at all the pictures several times. I'm a picture guy.
Nothing wrong with that.
Visuals.
Oh, man. Where to start? It's not a new product, but it's new to me. I'm really excited to get that Sierra Thermal from Eskimo.
Yeah,
Give me
a lot of
room.
guys talk about the Sierra Thermal. Obviously, we're very familiar with that product being with Eskimo, and I look at the Sierra Thermal as more of a 1.5 man sled that's super
exactly
light.
What I'm going to use it
get
for.
everything in there. It's got a smaller tub, which a lot of guys like. Some guys don't, but it's super warm. And I mean, I'm partial to the wide one, but that's because I fished it for many years. With the Sierra Thermal coming out this year, I think I'm gonna actually switch over and start fishing out of that a lot more, because especially with filming and stuff, because Aaron hates filming with us sitting in that wide one. Because he's got to, like, come through the window and, like, what are you doing in here?
That's why he coked us all into getting GoPro, so he didn't have to do that.
Soon I'll get you all by GoPros. I won't have to film the show. Just give you all GoPros and just... We'll still make it look cool.
Stand there with your little cup and collect chips by the landing.
Yeah.
Put them in
Are
here.
you done? Put them in here.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. Trying to think what else. Man, I don't know. Just I want to give that pistol bit a try. I've said for years, I'm on record, several years now, I'm a gas guy. It's never really let me down. But I'm willing to try something new this year.
You hear a lot of people talk about the gas, how they think maybe it's going to go away. What I'm here to tell you, I'm going to put it on record, gas is not going away.
Nope.
It's not. There's going to be improvements in gas year after year after year. The electric's not going away either. Some form, some way, the electric's sticking around. And I put the propane into the gas series of
It is a
augers.
gas.
It is. I mean, a lot of guys put it in a different class. I put it right in there. But, yeah, I mean, that pistol bit, I'll be honest with you. Last year, I wasn't super excited about it. You know, I didn't know the application. Started thinking about it, started getting our hands on it a little more last year, started getting more excited about it. And I think it's the application. You know, every auger out there actually has what I consider an application. Mm-hmm. And I think that pistol bit, the application is going to be your first ice, 1.5 up to 2 feet of ice. It's going to work awesome. Mm-hmm. But once I get past that and you start putting extensions on, you start doing that kind of stuff, I really feel like you can't go wrong with the gas.
Yeah. And I think the hardest part for me is I can't just I just live in an apartment. I can't justify buying a super big badass drill because by the time I got the bit and the drill, I could have another gas auger.
Don't you build yourself bunk beds every other week or something?
The good thing about the drill is you can use it in your house or your apartment.
Step Brothers build a bunk bed so we can come stay with you.
Yeah, we got so much room for activities. Jeez.
Anytime, Will, come on over, man. I got all kinds of stuff to do.
How about you, Will?
Yeah.
I get excited as soon as it hits below 32 degrees. Yeah, whether I'm in the boat or not, because it's cold and it just I should really be ice fishing right now and not be on the water with the wind hitting. And anytime it gets below 32 degrees, whether it's September or October, is when it's you get the chill down your back and it's it's coming.
Yeah. How about products?
Products?
You got a product? Something.
I like the Grizzly. That really gets me excited because it's got a lot of room in the floor, just so you have more room for your heater, and you can even have someone fishing the corner, and you can have 3 or 4 people fishing in there. Just kind of the way you can use the space in there and everything. It's just, I used it last year a couple times, and I don't want to get out of it.
Yeah, well, when you catch a giant laker out of one, and that was a memory I'll never forget. Welcome to the Thunderdome.
Wow.
I was shaking.
Boom.
I was shaking for 20 minutes because I did not want to lose it.
You were shaking through dinner. His burger was shaking. You remember that? He's trying to eat his burger and it's just shaking.
I just walked around for the rest of the day. I couldn't even fish.
No, I think one thing that gets me excited, I'm going to go a little bit different route than you guys with the houses, is last year we really got to start fishing a few times with cameras. We did lake trout, we did whitefish, used the camera up lake trout fishing a few other times. And to be honest, I've never really utilized the camera a lot until last year. And just the pure adrenaline rush of seeing the fish, like sharks down there, like we were whitefishing on Green Bay. They come and circle like sharks. I mean, Aaron and I were sitting there, and he's got and it's just around and around and around, all of a sudden attack.
Yeah.
I think it adds an aspect to fishing that I really never personally have experienced before. And I think I haven't utilized the camera as much, and AquaView's got a huge line of cameras out there with these, big screens, high definition screens. I mean, something that I'm super interested in doing is fishing more with cameras this year.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do a lot with cameras, I think, this year.
Yeah, I've had a couple of renditions of that AquaView Micro over the years, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't like the hassle of like setting it up to fish out of, but I used it more for kind of a scouting tool, or why are there fish here in this random spot? And I was able to drop down, take a look at the bottom, content or whatever of the basin, and discover
looking back last year on those rock bass, dropping the camera down.
Looked.
I know, but it's in my brain,
right?
And just like the structure that was, and you get to see a whole nother world to the underside, and
absolutely,
I think I am excited. Hopefully, if we do get more into the underwater camera stuff for filming, getting that screen capture ability in one of them where we can actually record for the show,
You're not willing to don on the suit and the housing?
The what?
We'll cut you a hole, send you down there.
No. Well,
Well, I think
I don't even like putting a camera in the water in the summertime.
I go into an ice season, and I always want to do something that I didn't do the years before, or I started dabbling in the year before, and now all of a sudden I want to get better and utilize that more. And I think that's what the camera is. Like you said, utilizing it for why are those fish there, what's down there. You're marking a bunch of fish, you don't see it, actually throw the camera down. How many times in the last 3-4 years have you actually thrown the camera down to see what's going on, right? Why don't we do that? As ice fishermen, that happens all the time. We go down, we have marks on our Vexilars or Markhams or whatever we're using, and we don't know what's going on or why. I mean, they tell us a lot about what's going on, but that camera would really tell us the whole story. And why don't we utilize that? I know there's a ton of guys out there that do utilize it.
Lots of people think they scare the fish away, and
I've read so much up on it that I'm gonna go full bore this year and really
that's cool.
Really utilize that aspect of fishing that I haven't done. There's places like Lake of the Woods and Stained Water where maybe they don't work as well. But I'm interested to see what these newer ones actually do in those types of situations. Instead of seeing 2 foot, maybe we're seeing 5-6 foot.
Yeah, even in the stained or off-colored water, with the infrared on them, even if it's broad daylight, I've noticed if you turn that feature on, it helps penetrate that cloudy water pretty good. Cameras and they've gotten a lot better since I last used them too. So.
And even that we talked about all the magazines and newspapers and all that kind of stuff that comes out about ice fishing. At what point do you get excited about ice fishing? Because it takes me, honestly, you're going through the summer. I love ice fishing. Obviously, we do the Fish Addictions TV thing, but we're not here to talk about that. We're talking about ice fishing, and it's still I need to get something that just gives me that extra oomph. And reading those ice fishing magazines, looking at new products that maybe I haven't tried, reading stories about people's experiences from the years before, that does it for me most of the time. But this year, for some reason, I was so focused on a deer. I needed to get away from deer hunting and out on the ice like we did today, and I'm just pumped. Like, I'm
That's
ready.
what you were saying.
Can we go tomorrow?
You hit that.
Can we?
You hit that ice with the spud bar, and you're like, I'm alive. I'm alive.
Oh,
I don't know. I think about ice fishing all year round. I mean,
yeah, I do to a certain extent as well.
And I think it has a lot to do where I didn't live here for about 7 years, and I didn't ice fish for that long. And it was like, it really hit me like you lived in an area so unique. You can't do what you're doing or what you used to do in Kentucky. That just doesn't exist. And that's why I kind of think about it all year long. You know, I'm always trying to stay ahead of the game. What am I going to do next year? What do I think I need to do? What do I need to build? That kind of stuff, you know?
I hate the cold, so.
No, you don't. You just say that.
I absolutely
when
hate
your
the cold.
hands are frozen to the camera, you're just
My hands are still cold.
So, Minnesota, North Dakota, Wisconsin, would you put Iowa, all these places in the ice belt. I think it'd be fun for us to come up with our top 10 destinations for the ice belt. Right
Start
off
with Will.
Nobody knew I was going to ask this question.
No. Start with
Will?
Top 10.
Yeah.
So anywhere.
How about you just say one, then we'll say one, and you guys can say another one, and we'll come up with a list of 10.
In the States or in Canada too?
It can be
10
Canada, it can be
total.
Canada.
10 total. I thought we were going to do like 30
No,
destinations.
let's
I was
do
like,
10
dang,
total.
son.
Just
Just 10.
let's just come up with 10, and anybody listening, comment with your top 10 destinations that you would like to go to. I think this is ones that maybe you'd like to fish, things you've heard murmurs about. I'll start. My number one place in the world that I want to get on ice is Lake Erie. Lake Erie.
Yeah, I'm with Cusco Falls. That's place it's special. That's the one place I want to go back to.
How about a place you've never been?
Never been? Tobin.
Tobin. I want to
Lake.
go to Tobin pretty bad. I've been invited over the last 5-6 years to go there. The fish that come out of that lake are giant.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
They are massive.
Yes. It's been said that Tobin holds the next record. For sure.
Are we talking all tackle, all season?
Yeah. Yep.
It's over 25 pounds?
Well, I
that's
think
the
ice
all-world
fishing probably.
Well, the ice fishing world record?
yeah. I mean, I would say it's been said that Tobin holds that fish, whether that's true or not.
Well, yeah.
I've never been there.
Well,
I want Clayton Schick. If you're listening, please invite me. I would love to come.
Well, there's been 15 pounders.
Yeah, there's that whole river is good, all the way up from Tobin all the way down to southern
One
Saskatchewan.
of our staffers, Dustin Larson, fishes there every year in a boat. Him and his dad go up there, and he tells stories. And they've never caught what I would consider a true giant, but they've caught a lot of big walleyes, and they're just says he's just scratching the surface on what's there.
Unreal. Oh, I suppose it's my turn.
Yep.
Yeah. We got Erie and Tobin.
Well, I'm not a walleye guy that much, so I'm going to take
Yeah,
her.
well, that's not true because this fall I got a lot of text messages from you talking about dirty walleyes and how you're taking a liking to them.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll change it up a little bit. Yeah, you
Yeah,
give us some sheephead lake or something.
I really want to go to the. We're going to talk about that later. I'd really like to go to the Turtle Mountains area, Metagoshi.
That's a fun area.
I've never been there.
Giant bluegills.
Yeah, it's a shot at a 2-pounder, a true 2-pounder.
KFC buffet.
I was just thinking the same thing.
We'll rename that one the Big Mac. It's double stacked.
Double stack.
Yeah, that one is that just man. Even when I was a kid, it wasn't quite on the map yet, but I had heard about it. It was the Valentine State Forest.
I've been there.
Down in Nebraska.
What an awesome place.
Giants.
I've been there. I want to film there.
Do you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to go down there. I don't think it is one it once used to be, but they're definitely still there.
It doesn't get a lot of attention anymore.
No.
It hasn't, I shouldn't say. I don't know if it's coming back
I think
around.
Jason Mitchell went out there and kind of brought it back to the map a little bit. There's big fish down there. I fished it several times through the ice when I lived there. Actually, a lot of people don't know that. I lived in Nebraska for, my wife will kill me if I get this wrong, like 5 years or something like that. And a buddy of mine from Ada, where I'm from, Ada, Minnesota, he moved down there, Chris Hurdle with me, and him and I were both hunting and fishing fanatics. And Valentine, we spent so much time out there, pheasant hunting, fishing. I mean, well, you name it, we were out in Valentine. My wife's actually from O'Neill, Nebraska, which is like 2 hours from Valentine.
Oh, okay.
So I'd drop her off in O'Neill and just keep going. And then I'd come back because they keep her busy with her parents. So we just kept rolling, kept going west. But it's a pretty special place.
Yeah, it would be cool. That'd be cool. We're up to 3 now.
I'd love the fish. Well, 4. You
4.
said Turtle Mountain.
So I went 2.
You did 2.
Being that my lakes are smaller than your guys's, so we're at 4.
I would like to go fish Cascade. I think that would be a fun place to go. It would be a new experience. You know, we're used to fishing Devil's Lake and those big perch, and there's a ton of quality perch in Devil's Lake. But I think Cascade might hold a bigger percentage of big fish.
Yeah, and that's the number one target for me this winter is a giant perch. I want to put a tiger on the wall.
I would go with Last Mountain Lake.
Last Mountain. Explain this to us.
I've heard of this.
I've heard of it too, but
The Next Bite did an episode out there.
Oh,
Keith
they
went
just
out there,
did it.
and they were
Big
pitching
saugers and
they were pitching shiver minnows for walleyes.
Ooh.
And they were just slip drifting and pitching. They were just mean fish, and it's just like, man, that's my kind of fishing.
Is that where he was fishing those big saugers?
No.
No? What, the big walleyes?
That was, this is just walleyes.
Okay. I saw that they were out there recently.
I think it was like August, too, and they were just whacking them.
Big saugers. Have you ever seen pictures of like 8-pounders?
I caught one that was 23 inches in the Missouri River one time.
They are the coolest looking fish.
Yeah. Well, they're like a morphed walleye into like a rocket.
They kind of look like there were some walleyes that were stripped down and they were put into the rock bass paint job booth. They kind of do. They're kind of brown and they're kind of like digital
Grayish
desert.
brown type. Yeah, digital camo type stuff.
Yeah.
They come out in so many different.
Yeah, pretty cool. Okay, that's 6. Back to me, huh? Again, I'm gonna stick to micro fishing, so to speak, in the Mississippi backwaters.
Ooh, James Holst did a show on that last year with PJ Vick.
They caught some giant perch.
Yeah.
Man, in that river system, I mean, it's a river system. You can run into giant bluegills, crappies, walleyes, giant perch. That's what intrigues me is that river system. You don't know what's swimming through there. Man. That would be fun.
That's 7.
That's 7.
You guys have named some of my tops. I would like to go. Man, that
State-wise,
backwater one.
Alaska.
I've got
Alaska.
cranked up on
Alaska.
that backwaters.
Yeah. I'm just. What could we do there without?
Well, you
falling
said
through?
those.
She-fish.
Yeah, she-fish
I would
in
love
Alaska.
to go to Alaska and fish she-fish. If you don't know what a she-fish is,
Mike, you're
look it
married.
up.
You can't do that. That'll be a trip for me and Will.
They're like a.
I was just
It looks like a tarpon.
I was just listening
They're
to
big.
Yeah.
or watching Life Below Zero.
Yeah, they did
Some
the
get into
she-fish.
that.
The dude was feeding them to his dogs.
Yeah, it's getting cheaper. By the way, there's a scene in there in the first season. One of the guy who deals with the furs and stuff.
Yep.
He's wearing a Bemidji State hat. I'm sitting there watching the show. I'm like,
You're kidding.
what the heck? Life Below Zero.
Because I binged that
Alaska.
show and I didn't even notice. I'll have to rewatch
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, Season
Alaska
1, episode
she-fish.
6 or something like that.
There's big burbot in Alaska, too.
Yeah, but I
Burbot's burbot.
I like burbot, but it's just you guys are so crazy about it. You're enough of a crazy for
They're
me.
highly protected in Alaska.
Are they?
Yeah, there's like a very, you can keep like 1 or 2. That's it.
I love burbot.
Yeah.
We went fishing with Jason Rylander 2 winters ago, and they beat me up bad. And finally, when I caught a couple,
Right.
it took a while.
Yeah.
It did. They beat me up bad, but
No, I'm with you. I'd like to fish for something completely different, and that she-fish, that'd be
just imagine jumping on that plane, going to Alaska, and getting on a she-fish.
yeah, for sure.
Look it up. I think you'll get excited too.
Yeah, they do. You're exactly right. They look like a tarpon.
Yeah.
They're just only smaller. I don't know. They're just kind of weird looking.
I think
Yeah,
they
they are
get
weird.
20 plus pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, he pulled up one that was pretty big in the river that he was fishing in the show. So they get big.
I think we're at, 8? I think we're at 8.
Hey, we're at 8.
Oh, it's my turn now.
Yeah.
No, I want to go to Fort Peck
Ooh.
and just spend some time out there and just try and figure it out because it's just untapped potential there. And I just hear stories of people getting 13, 14, 15 pounders, walleyes.
Yeah, it's also known. It used to be known for giant pike.
It's got big pike, big walleyes, big lake trout, big smallies. It's got everything, and it's just untapped, and not a lot of people fish it.
Montana, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's another
You're
big
just
one.
going everywhere the next bite just been to.
No, I just... There's big fish
Keith
there.
Cavias, you have a crush.
Oh,
Man crush.
sweet. Fort
Where's
Peck.
the chase? You're like,
Yeah, it must be.
look at how bad he's blushing right
Wow.
Yeah. It's okay, I just have a red shirt. It's reflecting.
now. Yeah.
It's reflecting.
So Fort Peck is number 9. I'm left to number 10 to wrap this off. We'll do 11. We'll give you one more.
Yeah,
shot.
I got one that I
You
really,
do?
really want to do.
Well, you take number 10.
I want to, and this isn't a lake in general. It's a general area, but I want to do the prairie potholes of South Dakota.
Took mine.
Dude, I
Yeah.
have been enthralled with that for a long time, and I've gone down there personally and fished with not a lot of success. And now, I mean, somebody explain it to us exactly. You know, I've gotten a lot of different feedback on this, how those laws work down there with all that stuff, and it has drawn me back as fish addictions to run down there, and it's just one of those things where, yeah, a guy should know what's going on, but it's to me, it's not set in stone what lakes we can and can't. Maybe there's something out there that I haven't seen
Yeah,
yet.
that whole was once a public access is
Right.
now not. That whole scenario. I was reading along with that.
Yeah.
The deeper it got, the more and more confused, and I hate to admit it, kind of turned off by it.
A little bit,
But
probably.
I don't. But that was the one I was going to say.
Oh.
Again, there's an opportunity for some.
Even east,
Giant
southeastern North Dakota has got some great pan fishing and walleye fishing and stuff through the ice on some of these prairie potholes that I don't think get a lot of attention. The guys that fish them probably don't want them to get a lot of attention, but that's on everybody's radar. I mean, they're there. There's great fishing to be had. They freeze up early. I think one of our staffers is planning on going out this weekend and fishing in there. Josh Krejcia.
Crotcha.
It's always been
It's been
Kraja.
Kraja to me forever,
Squatch.
but I'm trying Krejcia. Mr. Krejcia, hello.
Just seems weird to say.
Yeah, I think it's Kraja to me for life. Kraja for life.
People call me Squatch.
We love you, Josh.
I think for my last destination spot, it's tough. It's not really a destination. It's more of a goal. I would like to figure out how to consistently catch walleyes. Believe it or not, everybody hold on to your chairs. Locally, instead of going to a destination lake. You know, we're talking about that, like right out here, big
Minnows.
turtle. You know,
Minnows.
I gotta use minnows.
Minnows. Dark. Minnows at night. Bobbers.
I can handle that.
I'll tell you, the big turtle here, it's a pretty good crawler. Like, burn some crawlers, shoot some weeds, and you'll get them.
Through the ice?
No, not through the ice.
Open
We're
water.
talking ice fishing,
Oh.
Big Will.
No.
Come on.
I want to see Will cut trenches and run.
Get the chainsaw. Big Will's cutting a track.
Oh, I've caught them out here
Burning
in
them
the summer.
through
I'm
the
talking
weeds.
about ice fishing. Just, I mean, the destination places are awesome to go to, and they're usually a once, maybe twice in a lifetime type deal for most people.
Yeah.
And it'd be really cool to just be like, I'm going to go here, but not like Lake Bemidji.
Well, what if you lived in one of those destination places?
Then it's
you
not
would
a
end,
then it's not a
exactly. So,
destination.
but if you had that question, so like being here, like say muskie fishing, Lake Bemidji, people travel
Right.
to get here.
Right.
I honestly think this is a good chance for the listeners to actually tell us their top 10. Maybe we give away a Fish Addictions gift card for just commenting your top 10 lakes that you would like to go to, because I'm always really interested to hear what other people
for sure
where they want to go. I mean, obviously we didn't talk about Lake of the Woods, we didn't talk about Devil's Lake, we didn't talk about Red Lake because we're spoiled. You know, we go to those places all the time. Those are still awesome lakes, and I love going to fish, but we're spoiled. You know, I mean, so those are 3 that we didn't cover that I'm guessing a lot of people are going to have on their list to go. Red Lake. Huge destination. I think, honestly, Red Lake is probably one of those destination lakes because it is the first one, the first major body of water to freeze over, right? People, this is where the ice houses, the big ice houses, can go out first. They're pulling them with 4-wheelers, they're pulling them with pickups and vans, and who knows what they're pulling them out there with, but they're pulling them out, and it's a great lake to go fishing. One of our friends, Chaz Tobias, has a guide service there, and he's booked all the time. People love that place. You know, Lake Road Lodge up at Lake of the Woods, I think they have 23 houses and 8 sleeper houses, and people are just there all the time. So maybe we don't talk about them because we take that stuff for granted. There's one place that I think a lot of people overlook, and that's the Northwest Angle. Even though it's still Lake of the Woods, I don't think people understand what the Northwest Angle has to look. And one of the cool things is when you're talking to people about where we're filming and stuff like that, everybody wants to watch a show on the Northwest Angle. What other place can you go and consistently catch 14 and 15-inch crappies that are legitly 2-3 inches wide on the bottom? I mean, unreal the size. I mean, unreal, right? And people have heard murmurs about it. It's a place where people maybe are a little bit scared to go to because they all the unknowns with having to cross into Canada and all the little things that you have to do to make that happen. But I'm really interested to hear what everybody has to say. What do you think, Aaron?
I would say top 5.
Top 5.
They don't need to do top 10. Just do your top 5.
Top 5 lakes. Either you've been there or just your top 5 lakes
top
of ice
5
fishing.
Favorite lakes that you would want to fish or have fished.
And you've heard our top 10 between the 3 of us.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the lakes we've mentioned you like.
Yeah.
Maybe some of them they didn't even know, but now they're going to look them up because...
Right. Just post that stuff on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, there's so many areas that when you start talking just areas, Detroit Lakes area, I mean, there's how many lakes in a
how about
20-mile radius of Bemidji? All these areas have so many lakes to pick from. You don't have to go to a lake somebody else is on. It's got the opportunity to go out onto a lake, fish it, and figure it out for yourself, or there's those community lakes in these areas too, where if you're from the cities or you're from out of state and you're coming to Minnesota, you can go to these places and really have a good idea about what's going on. And we're just a really, really cool areas to fish. Duluth area. Duluth has got a lot of lakes around it that people don't even I wasn't even aware of how much there is to fish up there. Because we all kind of had our little areas that we grew up fishing and we know about. And then when you start going outside those areas, besides your Lake of the Woods, besides your Red Lakes, there's so many other little things out there.
That would be
so fun.
Really cool to start exploring up there from northeast of Duluth. You get up into the Finger in Minnesota there, and there's not a lot of talk about it up there.
I think what would be a cool show would be to pull into Bemidji or start from here at Coles Resort or start from Detroit Lakes and get on a snowmobile and do like a 3 or 4 day tour where you never come off the trail. We've got it mapped out and we just find these lakes we've never fished before.
Last year we talked about we were driving through Bemidji going to Wisconsin or something, and I said because with it from Bemidji 30 miles there's 300 to 400 lakes, and there's lakes that no one's ever fished on ever, pristine backwoods lakes. We talked about last year doing a season or a sequel of episodes called The Backwoods.
Yeah.
And all it is you hop from backwoods lake to backwoods lake and show that pristine. And you could do a city tour too, where you go to Milwaukee, you go to the cities, you do the city version.
I just think it'd be so cool to look at a map. You figure it out on the map, the lakes you're going to fish beforehand. Because obviously you can't just stop at any body of water that's going to have fish in it. You got to educate yourself a little bit.
Yep.
But what is ice fishing kind of trending towards? There's 2 trends in ice fishing right now. It's the wheelhouses, or it's get as far away from civilization as possible, right? So guys are decking out their snowmobiles, they're decking out their Rangers, they're putting lighter gear, more compact things. They're putting it in these places, and they're going. It's not unusual to cover 20, 30 miles on a snowmobile or a Ranger to get away from civilization, to get away from everybody else, and to really have that experience. And I think that's where I'm at right now. I want to get away. I want to go somewhere maybe somebody never has been before. I want to
explore that unknown.
Yeah, and maybe it takes all day to break that down. But if we just, guys just jump on and want to go, and it's still fun to go onto the Lake of the Woods and you end up fishing near or around a crowd. It's still fun to do that.
Yep.
But it brings the kid out I think ice fishing is really trending that way. I get asked a lot, like, what do you think? And I think that the wheelhouses are still there. They're always going to be there.
Yep.
But they're trending more towards RVs. You build them.
Yeah.
You guys are fishing. That has something where you can use it all year long. But snowmobiles and four-wheelers, all the ice fishermen are trending towards a snowmobile or a four-wheeler or a Ranger, decking them out, going as far as they can, pushing to the limits, and fishing places nobody fished 20 years ago through the ice. Nobody fished 10 years ago through the ice. And that's really how everything's trending in my eyes. And we're just lucky enough to be able to bring that to people with fish addictions. And I just, that's where my heart's at. I want to go further. I want to go, I would love to jump on the sleds, throw a tent in. We've got, let's tent it. Let's do whatever. I think that would be such a fun episode to just fish lakes that you can get to by snowmobile trail, by however, but you park the trucks and you go 3-4 days and just go and just find what you can.
Yeah, that would be amazing, because that's the kind of stuff I did as a kid with my little 14-foot boat with a 6-horse when I got my driver's license. My dad never asked me where I was going because I had the boat with me. Well, and I would just look at Itasca County, because I lived right next to it, and be like, okay, I'm going to go find this lake, and I'm going to go fish it. I've never been there. It was so much fun.
We did an episode 2 years with the Hang Loose guys, and the lake we actually fished, they opened up the plat book, and they did that, and they went and fished it. Mm-hmm. They weren't doing any research above and beyond that. They went there, they fished that lake. That lake maybe didn't have it. The next time they went, boom, next lake, they figure it out. Until they eventually got a few lakes that had fish in it. Mm-hmm. And that ever since then, that's really resonated with what I'm thinking. I'm like, gosh, that would be so cool. You might find a lake with 10-inch bluegills all the time, Big Will.
Yeah, sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't.
Will's just over there, just with
he's
a big
scheming,
grin on his face.
Yeah, he's scheming.
You can just see his head doing this, like, I'm going to buy a snowmobile.
If we could turn these off, I'm sure Will and I could have a conversation about quite a few lakes that we know of that haven't been fished but have heard the stories.
Oh, yeah.
I really wish we would have done a perch episode on that perch lake that I fished a couple years ago.
I won't know. Trent and I walked out there. I was pre-fishing for it, and nothing but wolf tracks, dude. And he was freaked out. He's like, I'm glad I brought this. I'm like, dude, you brought a handgun? Yeah. I'm like, all right.
Busting sidearm, man.
I'm like, okay, good luck against a pack. I hope you can remain calm. I'm a sitting duck. You're going to get away. There's plenty of meat for them to snack on. They're going to be like, man, this guy tastes just like elk. Yep, there's enough of them to go around. That's for sure. But, no, that would have been a really cool one. You would have, the whole thing was only like 9 feet deep, and you just sight fish them.
Nice.
And a few years ago when I was out there, we were catching them, 12, 13, 14 inches.
Wow. 6 inches under the ice.
Yeah.
Hundreds, thousands.
Yeah, it was
big
nuts.
daddies.
Had you heard murmurs of fish being back there?
Yeah, and we went and explored it. And then just last winter, when Trent and I went out there, there was quite a bit of snow on there. And we drilled, well, there's not a whole lot of area to drill. It's big, but there's only a small part of it that's productive, and it's between 6 and 9 feet deep. And we drilled that whole thing out and never saw a mark, never saw a fish. Huh. On our way out, we met a group of guys that were coming in. And we did the natural thing. We talked to them, and I said, we didn't get nothing. They're like, yeah, once snow gets on this thing, it shuts down because it's so shallow. I think and it's part of the Mississippi River.
Right. Okay.
So that's why there's fish in 6 to 9 feet of water all winter. but it shuts down. Those fish they bail out of there or something. So, like, if we were to go check it out, it'd have to be like this weekend before we get snow.
On the Mississippi River.
But it's a walk-in. But it's a walk-in only. It's a walk-in. You can't. No motorized vehicles. As a matter of fact, the time I was out there, somebody had come out with a 4-wheeler. And this is kind of in the middle of nowhere, and I was with a group of 2 other buddies of mine, and we're like, man, that guy just took a 4-wheeler out here. Sure enough, see this little black dot walking across the lake. Conservation officer. Boom, got him.
Yeah.
Dude, when I fished that lake, there was someone used a 4-wheeler to pull out a little shack.
Yep.
And it was the same exact thing. The conservation guy was not about that because you can't have. There's no no public access for vehicles.
It's a what do you call it? Refuge, waterfowl refuge area. But yeah, that's a cool one. Lake Superior I've been wanting to do too, but for burbot.
Burbot?
Yeah, I've heard of giants, and then
they got the big smelt run up there. They got cohos, smallies through the ice, Lakers, burbot,
walleyes.
Ooh, walleyes.
And then you get back in that bay that goes back in towards Superior, and there's big crappies back in there.
No.
Yeah, I have a buddy that fishes it.
I think a big question that I would wonder what other people think is when it gets to be ice fishing season, or now when you start to get your heart pumping for ice. We took a couple steps out today, a couple of feet, went 10, 15, 20, 30 feet, drilled holes. You get excited about ice fishing. What would they rather have when you have a category of like city fishing, backwoods fishing? Is almost what you just were talking about. And then there's the popular lakes. Do you think people like having other people around to the point where they know, like, if they fall in, there's other people, or it's always good to look out on the lake and be like, oh, there's another guy out there.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, I've fished a few lakes in absolute solitude, even in the middle of winter, and it is kind of unnerving.
It is, and there's head games. Like, nobody else is here. Why is nobody else here? The fish must not be biting.
There's that, but there's also that, like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but there's that what if. I have really bad knees. What if I'm going to move and I completely blow it out to the point I can't walk? There's nobody here. A lot of the places I like to go to, there's no cell reception. It kind of...
I hate those lakes.
It kind of weirds me out,
I think for me, it really depends on the situation I'm in. Am I bringing my kids and family out? Am I just wanting to go out for the afternoon type thing? Am I going to make a weekend of it? I think it really depends on how much time I'm investing into each trip. I don't mind going out to a lake where there's a community hole. It's a community hole. You're out there. You have fun. A lot of times I end up probably chatting with other people more than fishing.
Yeah.
Just having a good time, catching a few, just BSing with everybody out on the lake. Sometimes I go out there just so I don't have to look at anybody, and I just get the peace and quiet. Right. And sitting in the deer stand the last 2 weeks, I'm ready to go to a lake with people on it because I've spent 10 hours a day in a deer stand by myself.
Messaging me.
Messaging you.
Sending no messages. Hey, what's going on?
You sit in the deer stand over lunch?
Yeah, I sit there all day. Ugh. I have shot more big deer at 1 o'clock in the afternoon than...
I got to get out and get my breakfast on.
We just do that beforehand. See, I get up at like 5:30, walk circles till I have to poo, and then I just... then you make sure you get that, because that's the only thing that gets me out of the deer stand. It's like, yep, time to get back in quick. And then I rush in, do my thing, eat, come back out. And then it's like perfect timing. But
when I walk out to my deer stand, you get out there, you get up in it, and you're like, okay, now I gotta wait for the sun to get up. I beat the sun today. I hate that. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden you start to, like, everything out there starts to turn. And you're like, oh my god, is that a person out there? Yeah. Like, is that a creature? It's like a tree. I think it moved now.
I have a Honda.
The mind
50 feet in front of me, or 50 yards in front of me, probably, and I sit there and stare at the windows, and I'm like, I see something. And 3 years ago, I had Jake in there, my son, and he's like, "There's something in the window, Dad." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "No, there isn't." "Yes, there is." "No, there isn't." "Yes, there is." We argued about it for like 20 minutes, and then finally the son comes like, "Oh, it was just a branch." I'm like, "You had you had me scared. Like, you hear all these stories of kids can see it, but we can't.
Oh, yeah.
I thought for sure.
He had a goblin or something in the house there.
I mean, I'll show you a picture of this. It is scary.
It's a grow house, too.
Yeah.
But yeah, the social aspects of ice fishing. I mean, I'm with him. I like to sometimes get out and be alone.
That's what I stare at.
Oh, that looks. Hey, man, I'll bet you that's where Leatherface lives.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you, man. That's straight out of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Can you imagine walking up to that at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning,
Not
and
a
you're
chance,
just
dude.
because I get like 100 feet from my stand, and I'm walking all calm, and I like get that weird feeling in my belly, and I'm like, is the chupacabra there? Is Bigfoot there? Is a wolf or a bear? I just run like the last 100 feet.
Forgetting the fact that you have a high-powered center fire rifle
in the dark, dude, and like it could just pop out of anywhere. And once I'm in the stand and I lock it, like I lock myself in, then I'm all right.
Because he's one of those box hunters with a heater.
If
No
you're
wonder
going
you
to sit there for 10 hours, you want a heater. I have an office chair in there with armrests. I mean,
He's got a Wi-Fi signal satellite dish on the side.
I would.
I mean, what do you expect? It's 2018 here.
If I could figure out a way to get a glacier ice house up in a tree.
I sat in a
all
ladder
about it.
stand for too many years. My buddies and I were just talking about that with our deer camping. We're like, our kids are going to have... And I'm like, screw it. No, my kid's sitting in a ladder stand for like 4 years at least.
It's something you got to earn.
You got to earn the box blind. You got to earn it.
I still sit in the ladder stand. I still do it. I enjoy it.
We kind of did the same thing growing up ice fishing. You start out with the bucket,
Yeah.
and maybe you get the invite into the hard side angle or spear house, and then next thing you know, you got your own, and you're like, the hell with the rest of you. But yeah, speaking of spearing, it's still one of my favorite things to do, and it's the easiest way to find bluegills is look for spear shacks. I'll fish bluegills because those guys are they're spearing in weed beds, and that's where bluegills are. And I've got over the years, well, especially back home, they know I'm bluegill fishing right in amongst all these spear houses, and I got to be friends with a lot of these old timers. They give me the heads up when a big pike was coming through that they missed. Reel up, there's one heading your direction, that kind of stuff. Or sometimes they'd let me in there and warm up a little bit. And yeah, it's the social aspects of ice fishing is awesome. It's much more social than open water.
Well, you can get a lot of places that you
You can
can't
get right up in their face.
when you're in when you're in a boat. You can't just like tie up to some random guy. Where on the ice you can just walk over and be like, "How's fishing?" And people aren't like, "Get away from me."
Pull your boat up to someone, they're like, "Oh God, this guy,
Yeah. Oh, my God.
this dude." Ice fishing, you walk up and you're like, "Oh yeah, hey, how's it going?"
Yeah.
It's the
Hey,
difference
how
of
are you?
walking and floating. What do you guys as the fishermen? What are you getting into? November, October, December, whatever. We're going with November because that's where we're at right now. First ice, 3 inches of ice, 2 inches of ice, 1 inch. You're checking ice. What is some of the pre-gaming stuff you guys do at this time of year? You just put your boat away, right?
Yep.
Snow's down.
I can name what Patrick does. He sets his house up in his apartment and sits and watches YouTube and stuff in his house. He's told me this happens. So that's how he pre-games for this. And then once
Perhaps.
there's, 8 inches of ice, then you're like, okay, game on.
No, I'll do 5.
5.
I'll do 5. I also carb load. And being that I move right next to Raphael's Bakery, carb loading is going to be
load.
so much easier, man.
To be honest, some donuts sound pretty good right now.
I had to today. It was so good.
I mean, what do you do? Even this time of year with shows starting, I think that's part of pre-gaming. You get to shows, you talk about it.
That gets me really cranked up.
Yeah, I mean,
Seeing
just
old friends
talking
and
about
stuff,
it.
yeah.
Obviously, we get to talk about it amongst each other, but we got the St. Paul show coming up in just a couple weeks. We got the Fargo show after that. And then it's like game on, hardcore.
This weekend is the Blaine one.
Yeah. I'll be down. I'm going down to Blaine for a day.
Yeah, I'll be at Gander Outdoors
We should become friends and hang out one night.
I got some stuff going on that I. Yeah. Anyway,
Big time, man.
I made a few
Patrick,
phone calls.
big time.
Yeah, you know,
What was that?
pimping ain't easy, Fred. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we'll probably do something, man. We'll hang out.
Did you answer that question?
Shows get me pumped up, get me ready. This
Not
time
really
of
getting
year-
pumped up, but what do you? Is there something that you do to start the process of your mindset getting into ice fishing season? Is there? You cool your hands down last year.
Oh,
I'm not saying that specifically, but
Yeah,
is
I've
there
done
anything?
That. I've sit, put your hands in ice.
Buckets of ice,
Buckets of
conditional.
ice. Yeah, my wife's like, "What are you doing?"
yeah.
But at this time of year, is there anything?
Honestly,
You know,
doing
is your
what we
gear
did,
just-
doing what we did today? To be honest, I don't really prepare myself. It's all of a sudden like, okay, it's time. Let's get everything going. But getting out on the ice and like checking. I'm notorious for not bringing fishing stuff with when I'm checking ice because if I bring it, I will fish.
Yeah, you're distracted.
So I get out there, bang the ice with the chisel, talk yourself out of fishing. Obviously, I already don't have my stuff with, but I'll drive, out to Devil's Lake. Out today, we drove to Bemidji here to check ice. I think that's part of the fun. I equate it to like scouting for waterfowl, right? You're not going out to hunt; you're going out to scout, and we're scouting the ice basically. And I think that really gets me pumped for what's going on, and it reassures me that when I make that call, okay, it's time to go fishing, that I've already done some prior research. I've got kids now. Once you get kids, it's kind of like 10 years ago, I would have just gone.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
You have kids now to think about, and I want to be around when they, so we take the extra precautions. And so I think there's so many things that get me ready and to get going for ice fishing. And I think that's definitely one of them is taking a scouting mission. That's mine.
Silent Sally over here, Will.
Probably about a month and a half before, I'll break up my ice fishing rods and tackle, and I'll go through every piece of tackle that I have and organize it and see what I need. And I'll also just sit there and play with my rods watching TV for a month, and I'll just have them sitting right next to the couch.
So hot.
Working on that jig
So
and
hot.
stroke.
Yeah.
So hot. Woo. Turn the heater down in here. No, I hear you, man.
Yeah,
Going
but it's
through.
just for a month. I'll just sit there and watch, and even when someone's catching a fish on TV, I'll just...
Do you guys watch YouTube videos on ice fishing, that kind of stuff? Because you see on the internet and on social media, everybody's like, I need to watch something to get to scratch my itch. Are you watching all the time?
Every day.
Rewatching everything you've already watched?
If I do, I'm searching. I'm watching videos from Sweden and Norway and European ice fishing. I don't know why, just because it's so different.
Because you like seeing minnows being caught.
6-pound perch or minnows.
Oh, well.
It's like either minnows
Ice
or...
fishing with that?
40-pound pike.
I did see
absolutely.
Linder just caught that giant perch over there. He wasn't ice fishing, but he caught it through the open water, but that was a giant.
Yeah.
Big old
there's
orange
a few
fins.
out there that are...
I've never really been interested because I think there's so much untapped here that why leave? I'm a homebody.
dude, this is the... I just hit the mega Powerball deal.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go over there for a month and get it out of my system. It's definitely
it would be definitely
a once-in-a-lifetime
fun,
type thing.
I wouldn't mind catching like a 35-inch Xander or something cool once. That'd be kind of cool to catch.
I still need a 30-inch walleye, so I'll stay here and work on that goal. I'm at 63 now, under 30, between 29 and 30. I just can't do it. Some people just can't, and it's just not for me.
Yeah. Going back to that prep deal, every fall, I always tell myself, change the line on your ice rods. Well, I have a little confession to make. I'm going on the 3rd year with the same line.
Yep.
So when did you tell yourself
I
this?
think
Are you
I'm
on
on
4?
4 on one of them.
And this mono, this isn't braiding.
I got a confession. So last year, Will and I and a bunch of guys went up to Wekusko Falls, and we were fishing Lake Trout with sucker belly. And I parked the trailer when we got done and never looked back in it. Well, a couple weeks ago, we had Eskimo Pro Day. So I brought my houses down so we could go through them and just show them what...
Wheels turning green.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Opened the house, and there was petrified sucker belly in there, and it
That's
stunk.
disgusting.
They still stunk?
Oh, yeah. Oh, you want to know a worse story? Will,
The cooler.
same trip. He's got, what cooler is that? An Engel cooler, bait cooler, big one, full of white fish, not whitefish, but tullabees and stuff. And sucker belly got put in there, and I'm cleaning out. I'm in the trailer grabbing something. I look down and I see this cooler. It says Pappenfus on it, and I'm like, "Oh, Will probably wants us back." And I pick it up. I'm like, "Uh-oh, there is something in this."
This can't be good.
Yeah. So I take it out.
But you did this in the summer, though, right?
Yeah,
so it was months later.
Yeah, it was like August.
Oh.
So I tell Jake, I'm like, "Jake, open that cooler." And he's like, "No," and I'm like, "Come on." Anyways, I convince him.
It'd be fun.
The cooler.
You got him to do it?
Oh yeah. I convince him to open the cooler, and it's like soup. Like the bags that the fish were in were melted. Like how does it melt a bag? Like Ziploc bags shrunk down like you had put a torch on them and they shriveled up. Weird, right? And it was just like soup. Disgusting.
Did Jake lose his cookies?
Yes, and so did I. And we went out to the ditch and we tipped over by a pine tree, and that pine tree is doing awesome, by the way. It was a little bit brown. It got fertilized hard.
Nice. It grew like 9 feet in 2
Honestly,
days.
I took a picture of it because I told Jake, I'm like, that's like the best fertilizer ever. Dead fish. My grandpa used to spread dead fish all over his garden. All his neighbors hated him. But it literally turned green.
Nice.
So thanks for saying that.
Congratulations.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And if
Happy
anybody's
to be a
looking
service.
for a used Engel cooler,
I did the good friend thing and washed it out, Hilexed it,
Wow.
and everything. Like, did it still stink when you got it
No,
back?
it's back in your garage ready to roll.
I left it open for 2 months before he got it back.
you owe this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I had been looking for it for like 6 months, and I had just bought a new one because I figured I don't know where it was.
Well, I found it.
Wow.
So it sounds like it's one of those things that you should, at the end of season,
Here's
clean
my
out
piece
your
of advice.
traps.
Take everything out of your trailer. Take everything out of your houses, garbage included. That was the most disgusting thing I've ever been a part of. And Trevor Kinderman, which is one of the guys at Eskimo, he was not happy that we opened that up in like his office area, the whole house. It smelled so bad, and I just left. We just left it open for 3 days.
Oh, man.
Thank you, Trevor.
Getting into this time of year with last year, so many people dying, right? It was a pretty bad year for ice fishing deaths.
There was a couple, yeah.
Getting into this year with, like we talked about earlier, everyone rushing to got to get to Red Lake first ice, got to get to here first ice. And for the next month, hopefully we don't see it, but there's a good chance we're going to see it. Injuries, deaths, vehicles fall-ins, all that good stuff. Actually, stop myself there. Did you see the truck that drove out on the lake in North Dakota already?
That's an old picture.
Is it?
That's from last
That's what I thought it
year.
was too. I'm like,
Last year.
but okay. So rewinding back, what do you guys do? You know, because we did safety ice stuff today.
Well, first off, with fish addictions, we talk about we're going out and checking ice like we did today and doing that kind of stuff, but we're not really talking about it, right? We kind of have a rule here that we don't really talk about it until we feel comfortable not giving people false hope or false information. It's not really false information. It's just I don't want to give people the courage to do it. Or I mean, how many times do you feel like you post something on social media like, hey, we're out on this lake and we checked it the whole way out, and all of a sudden somebody's going on Lake X that's not even the lake you were on and just assume it's safe, right? I don't want people to assume it's safe to go ice fishing. So we definitely wait. Last year was terrible and it gave ice fishing for a while a bad rap, right? I mean, we had a cool off and a warm up and a cool off and a warm up, and people that aren't educated in what ice does and a cool off and a warm up don't understand what they're getting into with the ice pulling away and coming back and pulling away and coming back. and it may pull away and then refreeze between it, so that you might have 10, 15 feet where it's only got 2 inches.
Yeah,
you drove a four-wheeler right over that the day before, but now it's done. These weather changes, and now so I don't want to give people that false hope of basically get out there and hit it full bore.
And that was a big concern of when we filmed our first episode last year.
Yeah,
because it looked spooky because we had water. There's waves.
It rained
rained
before noon. The day,
and you were like, well, let's shoot this thing, and I don't know if we can air it.
Right. Yeah, we were.
And you were really on the fence. We talked about it for a while.
Yeah. But, I'm assured. I think people that are educated in ice safety, educated in early ice conditions, and educated in the lake, because there's so many different aspects of each lake that you have to take into consideration while early ice fishing. Does it have current? What's the depth? What's the size of the body of water?
Water clarity. All that stuff is taken into consideration when a lake freezes over. And if you don't know that body of water, you need to take that extra precaution to go out on it. And there's so many people that just see guys fishing on Red Lake and assume a different body of water is safe, right? And I mean, my biggest piece of advice to anybody ice fishing is going to be go out there and do a scouting mission. Don't load your rods up. Don't load your auger up. If you're going to Red Lake, great. Get out there and have fun. But just because Joe Blow drove his four-wheeler out, don't assume you can drive your four-wheeler out. Make sure that you're comfortable with that. Make sure that the path you want to take is safe. Right.
If you're going to drive your four-wheeler out, maybe drive it a ways, and check it, just like you would early ice with a spud bar. If I'm unsure, I'm walking. Or I'll go a ways, get off, drill 100 yards, go away. I know that seems like it's not needed, but we're talking about our life here, right? I mean, take a little bit of extra time, get there earlier than you want, take the time to get out there, make sure you're safe. You may find something that's going to save your life or somebody else's. I mean, there's so many precautions that a person should take when ice fishing, no matter what. I mean, I don't just take my truck and go bahaan across a lake in the middle of January either.
No.
Pressure ridges, all that kind of stuff. Ice safety is probably, and maybe last year that was a positive that came out of what happened, is ice safety really came to the forefront of what's going on. And maybe as a society, as an ice fishing society, we need that once in a while. Tragic events, what happened last year. But maybe those events can save lives as well.
Well, last year we filmed episode 1 on safe ice that we were checking a week in advance.
Yep.
Spud bars, team, etc. And I want you guys to kind of work together, all of you, whatever, and go through what you do for precautions, just like what we did today out on the ice, basically. But when we were filming episode 1, that's when those 2 people died.
Yeah.
The same exact night that we were on safe ice catching safe fish
on a different lake.
Lake that was deeper.
I mean, I honestly think the very first thing you do is you tell somebody what you're doing.
I'm going to hold on. I think the very first thing you do, if you really want to scratch that itch and you want to check things, the first thing you should do is go to a lake you're familiar with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
I think that's number 1 right there.
Yep.
I will not go on the ice on a lake that I've never been on before.
Right.
For first ice.
I mean, I like to tell somebody where I'm going. I like to have a partner. If you tell somebody, they'll have an idea when you're supposed to be back. They'll have an idea, and if you're out there fishing and you decide you want to fish later, you got to let them know, because you're giving that person the right to be worried at that point.
Yep.
Always have a buddy. And I will never go on early ice without somebody else there. Ice pick. Slam that ice pick into the ice. Let's make sure. A float suit or a life jacket. I think those are necessities. Ice picks around your neck.
Yep.
You should. I don't like to carry gear on early ice. I like to pull a sled. This distributes the weight. If you fall through, you're not having that extra weight on you. I think we talked about ice picks around your neck. I mean, if you fall through, you need something. A rope to throw your buddy or something to safety, to help them come to safety so you don't have to get right up next to the hole. Man, I have a whole list of things that I just, like I said, once I got kids, all this stuff became more
cell phone
real.
in the plastic bag.
Cell phone, so it still works.
A regular Ziploc bag. You don't need a fancy $100 waterproof pouch. A Ziploc bag, that's important too.
Right.
The float suit is wonderful, and I just wanted to remind people that is not a free pass.
No.
At all. It will keep you up out of the water, but that doesn't mean that you're bulletproof.
I have gone in through the ice with a float suit on, and it is hard to get out for two reasons. For one, you're floating, it actually makes it a little bit more difficult, I think, to get out. It gives you a better chance to get out. But without those picks, I felt like those, the picks are, to me, one of the most important things to have on. We actually witnessed a guy go through on a four-wheeler on Saginaw Bay last year, and he got himself out with the picks. And if one of us would have had to go out there to get him, it would have been very dangerous for us because he went quite a ways out onto sketchy ice before he actually went through. And that was one of the first times that I've been able to see it happen. He went through, and it didn't take him
we
watched
when we're like, we even said he's falling through. Ready?
Yep.
5, 4, 3, 2, poof, down.
Yeah, that was nuts. It was nuts.
And then it was on like rescue team.
Yeah. Snowmobiles, four-wheelers,
airboats.
Yeah.
The whole works.
Well, what do we ice fish for? We ice fish for to have fun. We ice fish for, obviously, for the camaraderie aspect of things. We ice fish to feed that itch of fishing.
Yeah.
Ice fishing is one of the fastest growing sports, and it's one of the fastest growing sports because it's cheaper to get into. It's easy to bring your kids out. It's as long as we're safe, it's an awesome sport. We just got to take those extra precautions and be ready for the unexpected.
Yeah, and always remember that the ice, no matter what time of the winter, is never 100% safe.
Right.
Because like I said, I've gone through twice on the same lake, years apart, different spots, but both of them were in January.
Yeah.
And that's the risk I know I keep in my head when I'm fishing these backwater lakes, looking for big bluegills. A lot of these lakes have beavers, and those terrify me because that's what happened.
Yeah.
I had hit an air
Beaver
pocket.
runs, yeah.
Beaver run. First time was just, I hit the bottom and I was into my waist. The next time I went up over my head, and this was pre-lift suit, all that stuff. I didn't have picks. I don't know how I got out. I don't know if adrenaline kicked in and I porpoised out like a big fat dolphin. But I just remember
You like whale jumping out?
my buddy just said head for the truck, and it was, half-mile walk. By the time I got to the truck, I couldn't move because
Froze.
all the stuff froze, and none of the water really got to my skin. I was really, really lucky.
Fast.
And I'm glad my mom doesn't listen to podcasts. 'Cause even at 40, I'll be 45 in January, she's already chirping.
So getting into
You're not ice fishing, are you? No, not yet. Probably in a week or so. Oh, that's the end of the conversation. But I love it.
getting
good to
into the 2019-2020 ice fishing season,
2008.
2019.
What did I say?
2019.
Oh, I wish
2020.
I'm getting excited. Too far ahead. Yeah, so getting into this next ice season, with ice already forming and people scratching the itch as we did to get out on ice today, it's good to just stay awoke, Stay
woke, bro.
ninja.
Yeah.
Aaron's just a ninja out on the ice.
Yeah.
That's what he calls himself.
Like I said, when I walk to the top of the hill, you're doing this shot with this spud bar, and I'm like, it looks like he's stabbing him.
We just lost that one.
It looks like you're stabbing him. Like you're a whale or a seal hunting. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Broken Line Podcast. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media. Like, share, comment, and subscribe.